Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So recently I was going through and decluttering and kind of reorganizing my single eyeshadows, and I ended up putting together this Z palette with colors that don't really get used a whole lot that I would like to put to better use. I'm also going to use this video as an excuse to answer some questions that were asked on Instagram. They've got that new feature that's Ask Me a Question. I'm going to start with Tangy Dijon right here from Vanessa's Vanity. So the first question I got asked on Instagram was, why are you so fucking cool? Well, I don't know that I would really even say that I'm cool. I don't know that I'm any cooler than anybody else. I mean, I go to work, I pay my bills. But again, I think what it really comes down to is that I don't like to be bored. I don't like to be boring. And I don't like to present myself in just like a traditional standard or what I consider like a boring kind of fashion. So next up I was asked, what are your holy grail makeup products? One thing that is a constant and one thing that just is never gonna change for me is the MAC lip gloss. I don't find myself having to reapply it very many times throughout the day. And even once it wears off, there's still enough of the residue on my lips hours later that they don't feel dried out. They still feel moisturized, and I really just I love the smell of it. Right now, I'm really hooked on the Maybelline Fit Me line. I love the foundation, I love the loose powder, and I love the pressed powder. Another thing that's not necessarily makeup, but makeup related, I love the Morphe brushes. Morphe brushes for me are holy grail. They are so affordable. They're such great brushes. You can buy them at Ulta now, so they're easily accessible. Next, I'm gonna dip into Preppy by Makeup Geek, and this is one that when I first got it, I used it all the fucking time. If you go back into my earlier videos, I pretty much use this with every eye look. And the next question is, what are your favorite wild hair coloring products? Probably for about 5 or 6 years, from my mid-20s into my early 30s, I had green ass hair. And back then, I mean, I think that Manic Panic was really like the only product line that you could really find just kind of everywhere. You could find it at Sally Beauty Supply. I think in recent years, there's been a lot of other companies that have come out with the kind of brighter colors. So at my job, I'm a hairstylist in case some of you didn't know, but we do at my job have the Pulp Riot colors, and I actually really like the Pulp Riot colors. If you are coloring your hair a bright color, if you're coloring your hair any color and you are washing it with something like herbal essences or something that's just like over the counter at something that you can pick up at the grocery store, it's never gonna last very long. You also want to, even if you're washing with something really good, you want to make sure that you're washing as little as possible because those colors just aren't meant to last a long time. And then the next question, everybody here pretty much should know the answer to. This was asked by a new viewer, so we're gonna go ahead and forgive her for not knowing the answer to this question. It is, what is your favorite 80s glam band? All right, everybody all together at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Pretty Boy Floyd. I love all the 80s stuff. You know, I love Poison, I love Motley Crue, I love all of those bands. But Pretty Boy Floyd is my absolute favorite. And then sticking with that same theme, I got asked the question, Poison or LA Guns? Is that even a question? Poison. Now I'm going to dip into Percival from JD Glow Cosmetics, and this is one of their matte eyeshadows, and this has really quickly become my favorite brown. The first time I used this color, it became my favorite brown eyeshadow. I fucking love it. It's that perfect chocolatey brown that builds up intensity really quickly, really easily, and it blends out so smoothly. This is a great, great formula. And then still on the music topic, I got asked the question, what is your favorite Kiss song? So I really had to go to, all right, what is my favorite Kiss album? And that's an easy one, that's Unmasked. But since Unmasked is my favorite Kiss album, I definitely had to pick a song from that album to be my favorite Kiss song. And once I thought about it that way, it was really easy to pick. I would have to say that my favorite Kiss song would be Tomorrow. it makes sense that it's my favorite Kiss song because it definitely has that 80s pop quality about it, where you could see a lot of influence as far as bands like Poison or Pretty Boy Floyd or those kind of bands. You could see that that's kind of where they picked up their influence from their sound on quite a bit. So I'm definitely going to go with Tomorrow by Kiss. And then the next question is, what bands have you seen live? Also, I absolutely love your style. Well, thank you very much. What band haven't I seen live? So basically, I think at this point, I really have seen every band I want to see live. I've seen all of my favorites. I've seen Kiss. Actually, Kiss was my first concert. I saw them when I was 5. And then I didn't see really any other concerts throughout the 80s. So all of the hair metal stuff that I'm into, like Poison and Rat and Pretty Boy Floyd and Motley Crue and all of those bands, I didn't see any of those bands until like later on when they kind of like reformed. And in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was kind of cool for those bands to kind of like come back and tour again. In the 90s, I was really into Marilyn Manson because they were like the only band that wore makeup and put on a show. It was a very short-lived phase. And then Poison got back together and Pretty Boy Floyd got back together and all these bands that I really liked started touring again, and I didn't really need Marilyn Manson anymore. The Donnas, I wish that the Donnas would come back. The Donnas were such a good band and they were so fun live. Crash Diet's a band from Sweden. I've gone and seen them in Vegas 3 times. Pat Benatar I've seen quite a few times. I've seen a lot of the 80s stuff. But again, I've seen so many concerts and I still have all of the ticket stubs too. So maybe I'll insert a clip here of some of like my ticket stubs from past shows that I've seen, from like high school into like the late 90s throughout the 2000s. I feel like in my 20s, I saw a lot of concerts and I traveled a lot, seeing a lot of shows in a lot of different places. So I'll try to insert some footage of that here too. And then the next question is, can you make a tutorial on getting big hair like 80s hair metal and having it stay? Also, love the videos. Thank you very much. Now, as far as making a tutorial on that goes, I can't really do it on my own hair right now because my layers are grown out quite a bit. But I can link some videos below, something that I think might be a little bit helpful or useful for you if you're trying to achieve that kind of look with your hair. I will definitely scour the interwebs and find an appropriate tutorial that can help you in that situation. Now, when I had an appropriate haircut for that hairstyle, you better believe my hair was teased out so damn big and it was so 80s. I definitely styled my hair like that for years. It's amazing that I have as much hair left as I do, considering how shitty I was to my hair for years. It's pretty resilient, I guess. So then we're gonna go into Black Count by Z Palette, and I love this black. Now, again, I did use it in another video where I was doing an all black eye look, and I don't think it worked for that. But for something like this, just deepening up the outer V and adding some depth and some dimension into any eye look, whether it's something a little bit more murky like this, or if it's something really bright and colorful, I've used it for both, and it works so well because it is black, but it's like a neutral black. It doesn't have like too much blue to it. So again, it's not just gonna overwhelm your eye look. Now the next question is, what was your worst date? That's a really easy one for me because I've only ever been on 2 dates in my entire life. I've never been the dating type. I've always been more the, let's meet up on Grindr, bang one out, and then I never talk to you again. I'm a hoe. So again, I've only ever been on 2. And so out of those 2, the worst one, I don't know, it wasn't a bad date, but as we all know here, I cannot grow an eyebrow hair. I haven't been able to grow an eyebrow hair in probably 20 years. And I've always drawn on my brows. And so I went out on a date with this guy named Chris, and I think we were going to like the movies. I think is exactly what happened. I picked him up. We were gonna go do like the typical like dinner and a movie kind of date or whatever. And when I walked up to the door, he answered the door. He came outside and he just kind of looked at me for a second and went, and totally smeared my eyebrows off. So he did. He totally smeared off my fucking eyebrows like right before we were about to go get in the car to go out on a date. So then I'm gonna go into Vintage Champagne, also by Vanessa's Vanity. I'm gonna use this on my finger and I'm gonna plop it down right over top of the NYX glitter primer. And because I just think, again, a color like this and a formula like this sticks so well to a glitter primer. It just shows off so much more intensity than you're gonna get with a brush. And I think it's more intense than what you're gonna get with a wet brush, because when you're putting it on dry, it's not changing like the formula or the texture of the shadow. And I just love how this works. And then really quick, I'm just gonna hit my waterline with some Coffee Eye Pencil by MAC. So the next question is, what influenced you to start doing YouTube videos? At some point I joined an online makeup community and there was chat boards and stuff like that. And I would post my makeup looks to that board and people just like every day would say, oh, you need to do tutorials, you need to do tutorials. And so at some point I just decided to turn on a camera and film makeup that I was putting on, and I put together the video in iMovie on my iPhone and I posted it to YouTube, and here we are. And I watch a good like 50-50 split between like female beauty gurus and male beauty gurus, or whatever it is that you want to call them. When I'm watching like the male beauty gurus, I don't relate to them at all. Again, it's like I don't relate to the cattiness and the attitude that comes with a lot of it. And I mean, male, female, gay, straight, whatever, I think it kind of comes from everywhere. I don't know, like the influencers that I watch are people that have more of like a bubbly, fun kind of personality, or somebody that just seems kind of like laid back. I feel like I know who I am and I know what my vibe is, and I felt like that was kind of lacking on YouTube. And so I just kind of wanted to put myself out there, So that's why I did it. Next question, matte lip or glossy lip? Definitely glossy. So, I mean, I do wear a matte lipstick sometimes. I like the way it looks in pictures. And in real life, I like it as a base, but I still will go in and put a regular lipstick or a gloss over top of it. I think that a matte lip is a good starting point, but I like the feel of moisture on my lips. I like a balm, I like a gloss. And since we're on that subject, the next question is, what is your favorite lipstick? So, I actually, with my Z Potter, I melted down my lipsticks and I put them into this Z palette. And while I was doing that, I kind of decided to play around with mixing a few shades, and I actually combined them together and created what for me is my perfect shade. So I have the Jeffree Star lipstick in the shade Celebrity Skin, and the Urban Decay Vice lipstick in the shade Liar. They're both so close to being perfect for me. Liar is almost that perfect nude, but it does tend to be just a pinch too warm. Celebrity Skin, it's almost the perfect nude for me, but it's just a pinch too cool. So I thought if I took half of this and I took half of this and melted them together, I probably would come up with my perfect nude that I want for myself. And as it turns out, I did. And I'm gonna go ahead and put that on today. Now, in a sea of nudes, it is actually this shade right up here. And I'm gonna go ahead and apply that with a lip brush. I start in the middle, and if you watch as I apply it, I think why I like it so much, it's not even a my lip but better situation. It's this is my lip color in a lipstick form. So I like it a lot. So then for highlighting, I'm gonna go into this loose highlighter from Wet n Wild. This is in the shade Moon Tears. This is from their Goth collection. I forget exactly what it was called. But since I was using eyeshadows that don't really get all that much love and attention, I thought I would go ahead and use a highlighter that I really, really love that I just never use all that much. And while I'm highlighting, I'm gonna go ahead and answer one final question that was asked, and it is, what is your favorite ride at Cedar Point? So with all of the roller coasters that they have there, you would think that my favorite ride would be one of the coasters, but it is not. My favorite ride in the park is a ride called Max Air, but Max Air is basically a pendulum ride. It's a pendulum that swings back and forth, and at the bottom of the pendulum is a ring of seats that spins around in a circle as the entire thing is swinging back back and forth. It's one of those rides that people seem to throw up on quite a bit, but none of those rides have ever made me sick up there. So spin me around in circles. That's totally fine. That's what I'm there for. And that's pretty much going to be it for this question and answer tutorial. I hope that you had a good time. I hope you learned something a little bit more about me. Maybe I'll do a part 2. If you have any other questions that didn't get answered, put them down below. If you like this video, thumbs up, subscription button, tell all your friends about it, and I'll see you guys on the next one.